Thanks for staying with us. Welcome to News Track on Channels Television. I'm Joker Rogers.
And I'm Charles Aruka. Here are the stories and reports we're tracking this hour. The governors of Niger, Jigawa, Kano and Adamawa states have thrown in their weight behind the calls for the establishment of state police in the country. This is contained in the communique signed by Governors Muazu Aliyu, Sule Lamido, Rabiu Kwankwaso and Murtala Nyako after their meeting with the Rivers State Governor, Mr. Chibike Amechi, in Port Harcourt today.
The governors, who said they were at the Rivers State Government House for a solidarity visit, expressed concern over the way the police force is being used in the country, while condemning the role of alleged to have been played in the crisis in the Rivers State House of Assembly. The governors threatened to reconsider their position on the financial contribution of their various states towards the funding of the Nigerian police.
Meanwhile, the crisis rocking the political terrain in Rivers State continues with reports of a massive protest at the Port Harcourt International Airport this morning. Reports say the Rivers State Governor Chibike Amechi and the governors of Jigawa, Kano, Niger and Adamawa, who came to pay him a solidarity visit, could not leave the Port Harcourt Airport this morning as protesters besieged the place. Governor Amechi is said to have stayed at the VIP lounge of the airport until the other four governors arrived, as reports say he could not leave for fear of being attacked by the protesters. Eyewitness accounts say the protesters, who arrived at about 7 a.m. wielding huge placards, virtually took over the airport. Last week, 5 lawmakers, led by Mr. Evans BP, attempted to impeach the Speaker of the Rivers State House of Assembly.
Meanwhile, abuse of power and not the Constitution has been described as the problem confronting the nation. Well, this is according to Professor Oyelowo Oyewo of the Faculty of Law, University of Lagos, who believes a reorientation of Nigerian leaders is necessary for them to see and act within the context of the powers given to them by the Constitution. The professor was commenting on the crisis in the Rivers State House of Assembly.
It's the problem of the operators. They lack the democratic spirit of abiding with the tenets of the law. They lack value that appreciates development, governance, and they have a wrong conception of power. They see power as something to be used in an avaricious way. People are given trust of public funds, and they flagrantly abuse this trust. People are given power to govern the federation, the state. They abuse the power and even abuse the power in inflicting pain and sorrow on the people who they rule over. And that is why there is a need for a reorientation of those who are governing us. There is the need for them to see themselves within the context of the power that is given to them. You'll find out that most of the powers that are conferred on the Constitution is conferred on the arms of government, particularly the executive and the legislature, for peace, order, and good government.
The proposal for a 6-year single tenure for the president, his vice, and governors has been shot down in the Senate as federal lawmakers voted overwhelmingly against it. This occurred at the clause-by-clause vote on the areas up for review in the 1999 Constitution. Federal lawmakers also voted against the separation of the Office of the Attorney General of the Federation from the Office of the Minister of Justice. The lawmakers also voted against autonomy for local governments. Other areas up for amendment include fiscal federalism, indigenship, and immunity clause for elected executives. Senate President David Mark has asked the lawmakers to vote according to their conscience.
Meanwhile, plans by the House of Representatives to begin a clause-by-clause consideration of the report of the ad hoc Committee on the Constitution Amendment was stalled after members questioned the procedure adopted by the House leadership. The lower chamber had set Tuesday to begin consideration of the committee's report, but this had to be put off immediately after the chairman of the Special Ad hoc Committee, Mr. Emeka Ihedioha, made his lead statement. The Speaker of the House, Mr. Aminu Tambuwal, had earlier encouraged the lawmakers to place priority on the wishes of the people during the consideration of the report and not follow the bidding of any individual. The exercise is to take place tomorrow.
Meanwhile, the House of Representatives has also summoned the Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice Mohammed Adoke to clarify reports that it claimed to have been cleared by the House committee which investigated the sale of an oil block OPL 245. Raising the motion as a matter of privilege, the Minority Whip of the House, Mr. Samson Osagie, said the lawmakers need to determine by who and how the Attorney General came by such a clearance. The House has mandated its Committee on Justice to meet with the Attorney General and report back in 1 week. An ad hoc committee of the House had recently submitted its investigative report on the transaction between Shell, Malibu, and the federal government.
The Minister for Justice has relied upon to say that the particular issue bordering on the oil deal relating to Malibu, that the House of Rep has indeed approved and cleared it of all unconstitutionalities and illegalities. My prayer is simple. He will need to explain to the Committee on Justice of this House what report he is relying on that particular correspondence that he has written out to an agency, a transparency agency in the United Kingdom.
The House Committee on Justice should invite the Attorney General and verify, first and foremost, the originality of that letter, whether to authenticate the source of that letter, whether the letter is actually from him, and then let him also further clarify his position to the committee, and the committee will now in turn report back to the House. We have given the committee 1 week within which to report back to the House.
In other news, the special summit of the African Union on HIV/AIDS entered its second day with a breakfast meeting for the participants at the International Conference Center in Abuja. Only the Prime Minister of Ethiopia, the chairperson of the African Union, the chairperson of the AU Commission, and the representatives of the participating countries and the ministers of health were present at the breakfast meeting, which was hosted by Nigeria's President, Dr. Goodluck Jonathan. In his opening speech, President Jonathan said it was the urgency and the need to tackle the challenges posed by the HIV/AIDS that made him develop a comprehensive response plan to bridge the gaps in the effort to eradicate diseases by 2015.
The urgency of the situation caught my attention. In order to address observed critical gaps, I directed the Honorable Minister of Health, the Director General of the National Agency for the Control of AIDS, to work with key stakeholders, including our development partners, to develop a comprehensive response plan to bridge existing gaps and establish a framework for achieving global targets.